Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll Tuesday, November 16th. First and foremost, happy birthday to my wife, who is, I will just say happy birthday, and we will leave it there. If you see her, wish her a big happy birthday. 20 something years old. How's that sound? Last night, boy, where the hell has that 49ers team been all year? I know preseason, they were my pick to win the NFC West. They were my pick to win the NFC, and I really, really liked them, and I thought they had a great shot to win the Super Bowl. That was the team that I thought. But we'll get into that. Return of the Mac today as well. So from Cape Cod to Cancun, from Tampa to Taipei, from Vegas to the Vatican, we got you covered from overnights to morning openers, movers and shakers, breaking news, which I really want to start with Scott on the MLB front. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what is happening?
Morning, Jeff. It's a Monday or it's a Tuesday morning, and interesting games in the NFL, boy, I tell you.
Hey, listen, I don't know how many times we have to say it. NFL stands for any given Sunday, and it just carried over to Monday. That is the team that I thought. I just, when they get into rhythm, they just play that West Coast uptick. It's almost like Nebraska-esque in the 80s. Hey, Rams, we're going to run the ball. And you couldn't stop it. It didn't matter if it was Mitchell. It didn't matter if it was Debo. They could have brought back J.J. Taylor, and he was going to run yesterday. Jeff Wilson starting around in the form, got it over double-digit touches. Debo Samuel has just been an amazing, amazing year he's had. Again, when you're playing from ahead, Garoppolo's just a different animal. And again, I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but if they start to gain some momentum here and start to put some wins together, they still could, make a late season run here.
Well, remember there's 17 games instead of 16, and there's one additional playoff spot for everybody. So, I think any of these teams are still in it, except for some. I mean, some of them they're just not very good teams, but that allows you to have a couple of losing streaks that are minimal. I mean, if you can keep them down to 2, 3, 4, something like that, you're going to play 17 games. So, 9-8 is a winning record, and 9-8, depending upon what league you're in and where you're at, might be a playoff spot. I just think it's interesting how the NFL works. I told you yesterday my numbers didn't show anywhere where the Rams should be favored by the way they were. And I just kept looking at it, going, God damn, the 49ers team hasn't played worth a shit in I don't know how long. And you were like, they're just going to go win this game, Scott. That's what they're going to do. And I'm like, well, my philosophy was, let's go with my numbers and bet the under. So, the under comes in. You go and you bet the game probably on the 49er side, and you win too. So, whatever. There's just different ways and different things to skin the cat, and then you go from there. And I was looking at some of this stuff and started to look at prop wagering just a little bit. I didn't do anything with it, but the selections that I had actually weren't too bad, and they came in okay. So maybe the next time around I'll actually pull the trigger on some of that stuff, but we'll see.
It's Monday night. ECSI VIPs 2-0. We had the Niners. We took it up to 4. Like I said on the show, we were going to buy the hook from 3.5 to 4. Also sprinkled in a little money line, pizza and beer money at plus 160. And we had Tulsa in college hoops. They were catching plus 3. and they won the game outright. We're going to start to get involved into the hoops as the season progresses. But that's the NFL in a nutshell. We try to break it down as close as you can by layers, and that San Francisco team total of 22 and a hook. You're just staring at it, and it doesn't matter. You break it down from the last 3 weeks, the 3 weeks before that, and then you just try to wrap your brain around it, Scotty. Like, how are they going to score more than 22 and a half points? And then you look at the Rams side, and then they were 27 and a hook juiced under. But again, how the brain works. Okay, are they going to get 27? Are they going to get 28? Are they going to get 30 or 31? You don't really go back towards the 24 to 21 side. Said here, either two things were going to happen. 49ers win outright or they get blasted. And again, so I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek and sarcastically, it's the curse of OBJ. And, just sitting on the sidelines, it was kind of comical. I'm not here to rub that in either.
Well, I mean, all of these teams are going to lose. None of them are going to go undefeated. It's the NFL. That doesn't happen. And especially when they play 17 games. I was reading something the other day, and it said it referred back to some of these guys. It was the Seahawks team that they were talking about. And the article was referring to the preseason games, and it was referring to the fact that the veteran players didn't play hardly at all in the preseason games. And now they're saying that because of that, they're not in shape and they didn't get off to a good start and all this other stuff. And I sit here and go, what the hell are you watching, for God's sakes? You have the most ancient goddamn head coach there is in all of football. And all he wants to do is do things backwards than what the NFL does today. And then you want to go and blame it on preseason guys not playing a game. It just sounded so ridiculous, and it sounded like it was just one of these guys that was popping off on a media person, and he's just trying to get some kind of notoriety or whatever the hell he was trying to do. And I just kept thinking to myself, you have no idea, just no idea what you're talking about. I mean, nobody gives a rat's ass about whether they play or whether they don't play. Look at what goddamn Aaron Rodgers did yesterday, right? I mean, he comes out and he plays after sitting out a week, and he didn't even get to practice, and he was only eligible starting on Saturday. So what the hell kind of practice is he going to have? Shit, he just go there and start slinging the ball around, and that's the way they do it. The only preseason I think that really matters is for starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, because they got to build up their arms. And they got to be able to throw 7 innings or whatever the hell they throw these days, at least 100 pitches. But I can't imagine somebody would actually have the gall to write that, and then number 2, believe it, and then sit here and go, well, this is what's going on in the NFL. They don't play really meaningful games in the preseason. Well, no shit, they're exhibitions, for God's sakes. They're not. They don't even try to win the game.
Well, you can take it to the other side there too, where Jim Harbaugh tries to win these games. I think he's doing 18 in a row or something like that. The breaking news, and I thought of you immediately. I thought of my buddy Jeff Harlan in LA, and this is Angels times a million. This is what they do. And unfortunately, their luck in what they're trying to do here never, ever, ever ends well. Noah Syndergaard, 1 year, $21 million. He threw a handful of pitches last year, trying to catch lightning in a bottle. Thoughts?
I think they should wait on the CBA, man. That's what I think. I think that the Angels are a team that can be reckoned with. I mean, the truth is they got a lineup. The problem is they never stay healthy, and they can never get any starting pitching. And even if they do get some out of the bullpen, they got to pitch so damn much that their arms fall off. So they just haven't been a team that has been favorable in the end of the year. But at the beginning of the year, every year I write them up in my book, and every year I write them up in my book, and I go, holy shit, look at this Angels team. They're going to be blah, blah, blah. And then they can't get it right. So Noah Syndergaard is not the right answer for those guys. Now, I get it. I 100% get it. He's different than what they have out there already. But he's a guy that's going to go out there and he's going to throw whatever miles an hour he's going to throw anymore because of his surgeries and stuff. But they need, how do I say this right? They need guys that are proven that can last seasons. That's been their problem all the time. Every time they go sign somebody gets hurt. Every time they go sign pitchers, they don't last the whole season, and they miss all these time frames. Syndergaard's the same way, and I don't think that Syndergaard, maturity wise, is at a point where he can. He's in a position where going to a new league and going to a league that theoretically is going to hit fastballs. I mean, they're playing in the American League now. If you can't throw a curveball or a slider in the American League, you're in trouble, especially in the American League East. That said, they pitch in the American League West, which, if you think about it, and I wrote it up last year, you got the Angels, the A's, and, all these other teams out there, and none of them have a true ace. So if Syndergaard can really be a true ace, then that gives them a leg up in every matchup because nobody can match him. Having said that, though, that's asking a lot for a guy that's coming off Tommy John, didn't really pitch much for the Mets. And when he did pitch for the Mets this season, if I recall, it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. So I think it's a stretch. My opinion is that they do this all the time and they just back and support the wrong shit. All they do is go out there and spend money and buy names and buy them when they're at the wrong time, right? They did that with Pujols, and now they do that with Syndergaard. I'm not so sure that they didn't get the third baseman there for the Nationals. Forget what his name is off the top of my head. Yeah, get Rondon in the right spot, right? They might have bought him at a good time, but then hell, he missed the whole damn season. So, they got Rondon missed the whole damn season, and they got the star of the league, Trout, missed the whole damn season. And then they still have a guy that hits 40 home runs.
And
pitches, right? I mean, holy shit. So what the hell kind of team is this? I mean, you put those guys back on that team, and they had a good breakout season from, I think the kid's name is Walsh, who played first base. That kid had a good breakout season for them. So they have talent, they have players. It's a matter of how do they fit as a team, and what can you get from pitching, because they ain't got none.
And it's funny because, you talked about stability, someone that's going to be there every fifth day, someone that can give you some length. Now, I'm not going to say this guy is the health monster, but he has proven when he is healthy, he's going to get you a start every fifth day, and he's going to get you the 30, 29 starts. And for $77 million and 5 years, you could have had Erod. And again, I'm not saying he's Cy Young, okay? But again, he's 29. He's going to give you some length and someone that can be your anchor as your number 3. You look for your number 1 and number 2, okay? I just saw before we went live, it looks like Toronto is giving Berrios like a 8-9 year extension. So it's, we're in the hot stove time now. So it'll be interesting, as you said, without the CBA, how these teams go about their business as we get closer and closer to see what the hell's going to happen to our beloved baseball.
I think Berrios is a mistake, by the way. I like Berrios as a pitcher, but he's pitched in the American League Central. Now he pitches in the American League East. And the American League East, the pitchers that do well throw 100 miles an hour. That's what they have. If you don't throw the ball, 95, 96 miles an hour, you're going to get hit in the American League East. And I don't think Berrios is in that spot. I mean, look at Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray threw 95, 96, 97 miles an hour, and he found a way to throw strikes. And then that became good, right? So now he's going to move on and go somewhere else. But the reality is going to be is that Berrios, they were able to keep him. he's going to be their main guy, but I don't know if he's the right guy because I don't know if I look at him as like a true number one. I think of him as more as a true number two. And then he's not going to match up to some of the aces that are out there in the American League East.
I agree. He had showed chinks in Minnesota. He'll give you one or two good starts, and then he'll have that game where he can't get out of the first, or he's been pulled early in the second. Really hit or miss there, but we got plenty of time to talk baseball. Mac tonight, 3 games. Rotation number 301, 302, 7:30 kickoff. Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan. Western Michigan opened up at 4.5, currently 5.5 at our friends at Circa with an under-over. Opened at 68.5, currently 66 at Circa. Toledo and Ohio, rotation number 303, 304 at 7 o'clock. Toledo opened up at a flat 6, now 7 all across the Vegas Strip. An under-over that opened at 53 and a hook, currently now 58. And at 8 o'clock, rotation number 305, 306, Bowling Green at Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio opened at 16, flat 17s all across the Vegas Strip. Under over opened at 50, now 51 and a hook. Scotty, what are you seeing?
Well, it's kind of interesting because the MAC is, it's one of these like we always talk about. These kids are in some cases they make the NFL, but in most cases they're just the kids that came out of high school that didn't get to go to big schools, but at the same time they're good enough to play at a level where they didn't want to go play for, I don't know, whatever Division II, Division III schools are available. So it's kind of interesting. My numbers come from rankings through 130 schools. So let's just remember 130 schools because you have 2 teams in the first game. Well, I call it the first game just because it's listed on the board as the first game, but Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan. And I just think this is a super game to be betting on because Western Michigan EPA rank is 37 and Eastern Michigan is 88. Usually when you got a points a variance of over 50 like that, this is a double-digit win for the team that's favored by the most. But where this really comes into play is the offense for Western Michigan ranks 31st, and the offense for Eastern Michigan ranks 43. So that's about the same. I mean, they're really both good on offense. They score and they drive the ball. Where the difference is on defense. Defense, Western Michigan is 63rd, which isn't very good, but it's about in the middle. And Eastern Michigan is 107. So they're getting towards the end of the line here. And the matchup is Western Michigan rushes the ball at 27th and throws the ball at 33rd. So they're a pretty balanced team. They can do whatever they want to, and they're going to face the 119th team on defense against the run and the 74th team on defense against the pass. So theoretically, they're going to have their way and be able to go down the field one way or the other, however they want. The other side is Eastern Michigan is 82nd at rushing. And remember, we said they were 43rd on offense. So that means they got to have a good pass offense, and they do. They're 36th. Even though they're 36th, they're right even with what Western Michigan does. But Western Michigan's rush defense is 61st. So that means they at least have a ability to stop the run and make Eastern Michigan more one-dimensional. So that tends for me to believe that Eastern Michigan is going to struggle here a little bit with if they can't, they're going to have some drive, where they are going to end up not being able to get all the way down there, and they're going to have to kick for a turnover on downs, whatever it's going to be. I'm not sure Western Michigan punts in this game, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, they can run the ball 27th in the country against the 119th defense, and they can throw the ball 33rd against the 74th defense. And then another couple of different things, right? So When Eastern Michigan has the ball, we talked about their prowess of being able to their path to success is to pass. Well, the reality is that their offensive line is 99th in the country at pass blocking against it's adjusted sack rate for the offensive line. So I flipped it over and I'm like, well, what the hell? Let's see what Western Michigan, the defensive line looks like. Well, Jesus Christ, they rank 4th at rushing the passer. So they're going to have to pass on almost every down because they can't run the ball. And now they're going to have to pass against the team that can put pressure on the quarterback. I really like Western Michigan to cover 5.5 here. I think they win by more than a touchdown, and I'm going to bet it that way. So I'm good with that game. The other game is Toledo and Ohio. And this is interesting because Toledo is the best I shouldn't say best. They are the lowest, which means best rank of EPA of all the MAC teams. They rank 24th. Western Michigan is second. They rank 37th. That being said, the reason Toledo ranks that way is because their defense is 8th in the country and their offense is 86th in the country. So they're just going to have to stumble their way into the end zone a few times. But Ohio, they rank 83rd. So it's just exactly the opposite for this team. They are 38th on offense and 111th on defense. So now you have a battle of an offense that's 86th versus a defense that's 111th, and an offense that's 38th versus a defense that's 8th. So you got an interesting matchup here, and I can see that people are kind of betting on Toledo here, and I don't mind people betting on the defense, but I also think that when you bet on defense, you better have enough offense. And I'm not sure Toledo has enough offense here, so I'm going to stay off of that game. Not because I believe in Ohio's defense. I just think that when you look at Toledo, they're 111th in the nation at passing. They are number 11th rushing, so they might run the ball pretty well here, and that might be all they get to do. So maybe they hang on to the ball all day. But that's typically not what happens in the MAC, right? The MAC, they all do like crazy ass shit, and you never know what's going to happen. In Toledo and Ohio, those are both teams that see each other often, and there's a big rivalry between the two schools. Not that Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan aren't, but if you remember back, I don't know, I'm going to guess it was, 6-7 years ago, Eastern Michigan hadn't won a football game for like 2 years or something like shit like that. I don't know what they were like 0-24 or some stupid shit. And now they've been winning a little bit and they're kind of building a program. But I really like Western Michigan in that game. And that's the only one I'm going to play.
What are your numbers? I'm going to peel this layer back here because I think this one's intriguing. The Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, you got a 17-point spread with a 51 total under over. So I'm going to peel back some layers here for everyone here. You got a team total of 33.5 over 126 on Miami of Ohio. Bowling Green 17.5 under at 129. I want to also look here for 1 second, because with a 17-point spread, I usually going to guess that Miami of Ohio will be minus 10 first half. And what do they give us? Survey said opened at 7.5, which is not the correct number on a 17.5. I'll give you that. 10 at circa 9.5. So I was just curious there. Looks like Bowling Green will have a hard time scoring there. I want to just tell everyone listening, our friends at Circa finally put it out. I was off by a half. They put the SEC championship game up, and they put Georgia -3. And I think the under over was at 49. And listen, we've talked at length in August. I was on the Georgia bandwagon at 8-1 preseason to win the championship. And I just think out loud here how this usually works out. Okay. Yes, Georgia wants to knock Alabama out of its misery. Yes, they don't want them in the Final Four. But do they tip their whole arsenal to do that? And it just, I think that number smells. It's low. I think that they were, the money line was like -160 and Bama was +135 or something. And I could just see Alabama, stealing this win. Georgia still probably holds the number one rank. Bama hangs on to two. I don't think maybe they would move Bama to one, Georgia to two, whoever makes 3 and 4. I know it's early. I know we got still a lot of time. What's your thoughts of a neutral site and Georgia only favored by 3?
I think that is kind of the some of the stuff that's going on in some of these conferences. I think that Alabama is getting a lot of love from the odds makers every time they go out. The reason I say that is because their defense isn't that good. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Their defense is not as good as a lot. They're probably, if I were to go look it up, which I don't have the information right in front of me. Well, maybe I do. Here, let me see. Alabama on defense. EPA defense. It's not as bad as I thought. EPA on defense. They're now showing 16th. They're showing 15 against the run, 25 against the pass. And that tends for me to believe that there's a difference between that team and Georgia, right? Georgia is a team that's number 1, number 2 against on defense. Nobody can beat Georgia's defense, and they have a decent enough offense. They can score points, which better the offense in my mind is better than what Alabama's offense is. And their defense is better than what Alabama's defense is. But I think that the SEC, they always give Alabama more than what they should probably normally get. And I don't mind that 3. That doesn't bother me. And to answer the question, I think would Georgia pull out all the stops to beat them? I think they would. I think they would do everything they could to beat them because they've had them beat, and then they didn't stomp on their neck to beat them twice. And then they lost in the playoffs, and then Alabama goes on. So I think that they want to cross that hurdle. And if they can cross that hurdle, I think they will at some point.
I think it's apples and oranges this year when you compare the two. I'm trying to think back. I can't remember a defense as good as Georgia. It's been a long time since someone, the Bama teams in the past have had real, crushing defenses. Georgia just on both sides has been phenomenal. And again, I know the books know, listen, we can't put out Georgia -6, 6.5, because they would just get buried with Bama money. I mean, we all know that. A blind squirrel walks up and, the game's on and like, oh my God, I can get Alabama +6. They haven't watched the game all year. How the hell are you giving me Bama +6, It will be interesting when that game comes. There's still a few more games, for each team before they get there. But I just thought I would throw that out there. So for tonight, Scotty, Western Michigan, I haven't broke down. I don't have any leans yet on the MAC. We're also working on some college hoops as well. Hot stove is heating up. Scotty, closing thoughts.
Well, I'm in the final stages of writing the articles and writing the stuff for the NCAA betting guide for the bowl season. And one of the things that I'm including in there is a worksheet this year, because when you write this stuff this far out, right? We're on November the 16th, and the first bowl game is December the 17th. There's a month away, and I'm already, kind of just waiting on numbers and going to try to, so that I can get all that stuff done and published and get it out there for everybody. But the one thing that I wanted to make sure that everybody realizes is that betting the college bowls is not the same as betting the regular season. And the reason for that is there's motivations for different teams, and the motivations are much different. Some teams are just going down there and crowning off a great season that they had because they haven't had any in a long time. Maybe it's the first bowl game in the last 10 years. And it's just a christening celebration of what they did. Other teams go down there and, man, it's a business decision. They're going down there because they want to beat the shit out of somebody, and they want to recruit the best kids they can, and blah, blah, blah. Well, the other thing is you get coaches that get fired. and you get coaches that are retired and they get stuff happen, and you got to watch because today now Virginia Tech just got let go of their coach. So as we go forward, you're going to need to have some kind of an understanding of what the motivations are for these players, these kids. Do they have an interim head coach who's going to manage them through the bowl game, or what's the scenario going to be? You know, some of these kids sit there and think they're NFL draft choice. They don't want to get hurt, so they're going to sit out. That's all stuff that I can't put in the book because it's all going to happen right up to the time, and I can't do that. So I'm going to give you a little worksheet you can fill out for every game, and then you can put that stuff together as notes as you're looking at my notes and stuff that I put in there for those games. So anyway, food for thought as you go forward and the things that you look at, and it's important as we keep watching the Hot Stove League and stuff like that. The reality is that college football season end is here, and as it's here, you're going to run into these scenarios where coaches don't come back, and you got to figure out who the coach is going to be and what are the kind of inspiration and motivation the kids are going to have. Does that mean the whole coaching staff is gone? Does that mean that just they're going to get rid of that guy, or what does that open them up to have freedom to go out there and do stuff they wouldn't normally do? Who knows? But the point of it is you need to kind of try to figure that out a little bit.
Yeah, and exactly what you're saying. The other thing too nowadays is what a lot of these kids are doing is they'll throw their name in the hat and they'll get it out to their agents and they'll start talking in the NFL. Hey, where do you think I'm landing? And some of the studs will now sit out and not play in these games because they don't want to get hurt. And this started a couple of years back, and then it was just like, what are you doing? You've played the whole year, and now here's a bowl game. Most of these guys, their team didn't make the Final Four. Yeah, it'd be great to play in the Rose Bowl or the Orange Bowl or whatever, but to get injured, I go back to it, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Notre Dame kid, the Jalen Smith kid, got injured in the bowl game, and cost him a lot of money. And these guys are just looking long-term versus the short-term. Hey, I put in my 3-4 years here. I'm getting ready now for the NFL draft. They use hey, I got to get ready for Indy in February for the OTAs and stuff. So, the combines, excuse me. So, good stuff as always, Scotty. Keep an eye on Western Michigan tonight in the MAC. If you have any questions for Scotty, go to on Twitter, Webby20MLB. Any questions for myself, go to EC Sports Invest. If you want to send us an email, send it to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. And always remember this, if you are wagering tonight, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. And best of luck tonight. Stay in your lanes, and we will see you tomorrow morning.